now are up on Channel 11. So I would like to welcome everybody to the November 23rd, 2015 Mesa City Council study session. The first item on our agenda is to review the agenda for tonight's formal council meeting. So council, if you have that in front of you. Previously at the study session last week, everything remained on the consent agenda, but let's just make sure that that remains the case. Agenda item 3 are liquor license applications. Number 4 is taking action on purchasing contracts. Agenda item 5 are resolutions. 6 are various planning and zoning hearings and ordinances. Council, any questions or concerns about the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll go upstairs with the intention of just proceeding with everything on the consent agenda. The next item on our agenda for this meeting is item number 2, to hear a presentation and provide direction on site selection of the Mesa Regional Fire and Medical Dispatch Center and Emergency Operations Center. Our city engineer, Beth Huning, is here and will give a presentation on this item. Beth, thank you very much. I think we've all received the documentation you prepared, and I thought it was very well done. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Glad this is a short week. So tonight I have with me Dave Wilkins on my right, and on my left is John Broback. They've been doing the heavy lifting on this project along with our consultants and members of the fire department, and they're here to support me and provide backup for questions I don't have the answers to. So we're here to talk about the Mesa Regional Fire and Medical Dispatch Center and Emergency Operations Center project that was included in the 2013 bond program for the city of Mesa. We started the project early this year, and we completed the initial programming phase. We just did a quick summary of the programming, so just to remind everybody of what the scope of the project was as we included it initially. We're initially looking at 18 to 19,000 square feet for the fire dispatch program, and then future programming to include an emergency operations center, police dispatch as well, and fire tech services and some other ancillary services that go with the program. When we came to the Public Safety Committee on March the 2nd, we had evaluated 8 sites. We received some additional direction, and we went back and evaluated up to 54 sites throughout the city as potential sites for the regional dispatch. Carried forward one of the original 8, and now we are down to 3 sites. So that was quite a reduction. The 3 sites we'll be talking about tonight are the 3200 East McDowell, which is adjacent to the city's Val Vista water plants on city-owned land. 1240 East Main Street, which is actually, many of you remember, is the old Mervyn site, which is now closed. And 708 West Baseline Road, which was the original Southwest ambulance site that was built in 2006. We were showing, in the first slide, we're showing the layout that would work on the 3200 East McDowell site. We've covered that with you prior in a previous meeting, so we weren't going to spend a lot of time on this. The site would be a phased build out. You can see in the yellow would be phase 1, which would be the fire dispatch. The blue would be the EOC, and then the future police dispatch would be a building built specifically for those functions. 1240 East Main, or the previous Mervyn site. We did quite a bit of investigations on this site. There is an existing 90,092 square foot building. It sits on 7.93 acres. The building is, or was, originally a retail kind of big box building with wood frames and trusses and concrete walls. Some of the things that we have unique, because every site has its own characteristics, so some of the unique characteristics for this site that we look at when we consider regional dispatch, the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, has guidelines for dispatch centers. They like to see an 82-foot setback. We are a little short on the 82-foot setback on the north side of the building and on the east side of the building, which you can see from the dashed lines. So we would have to do we would be a little bit short on that. They are guidelines, but we do like to meet them with dispatch centers. Some of the other concerns or unique conditions we have are this does have cross-access easements with the Food City to the east, the Denny's on the corner, and what was a shoe store originally, I think, in the vacant store in the middle of the parcels. So we would need to complete the negotiations for cross-access. We have shown cross-access all the way through to Stapley from the Food City site. We did run an environmental assessment on the site. You can see a clouded area on the southwest corner of the site. Originally, in the 60s, there was an automotive facility built in here, 60s and early 70s, we believe. In 79, it was demolished to make way for the Mervyns. The old original drawings show hydraulic lifts in the automotive facility with hydraulic pits. Back in the 70s, they weren't required to close these out with DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality. So we do not know how much of it was demolished and left in place, or if there's some potential soil issues or not. We would need to complete a phase 2 evaluation before we knew the outcome of that. There is not currently stormwater retention on the site. We would need to create that. And then we've also shown on the site, just so you know, the light rail alignment and what it does to the right-of-way. It's about 12,960 square feet, if I recall, that we need that Metro will need to put the light rail station in the future as we go forward with the light rail project. Some other things that we noted on the site, I mentioned earlier, the wood truss roof, which makes it a Type 3 building. We need a Type 2 building for a dispatch center, so we would need to take the roof off and do a different style roofing for the site. And then, as you'll see, even with the next site, the building is going to have a lot of computers in it, which means heat gain. And when you have heat gain, you need quite a bit of HVAC or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So we need to have a lot of cooling capacity. I'm showing the little, right now what we have are these little existing rooftop units on the right. And on the left, I'm showing you a picture of what we just put in at the existing communications buildings. These are 2 large chillers. They're about 16 feet long, 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide. They're pretty sizable units, and that's what's really required for a communications building. So we've included costs to upgrade the HVAC. And then when you start upgrading HVAC and bringing in a lot of computers, remember it was a retail space. We do not have the power supplies we need in this building. Retail didn't have the power demands that we would have. So we would need to change out the power supply in the entrance to the building. As an example, if you look at the project we just completed on the south side of the Mesa City Plaza last year, that was it's a little bit smaller than the service entrance we will need for the communications building. But you can see a picture of that on the left. That's my electrical engineer standing there next to it for size and scale. And then on the right is what we have at the other building. You kind of see the old phone sitting there. You can kind of get an idea of scale. It's very small in a very small room. So there's a cost associated with that. And the site is not secured with site walls, so we have some walls to build and some amenities. The building itself, we would want to do some things to it aesthetically to make it into a dispatch center as well. Those are some of the things we've included and addressed in the cost. And then we would propose, we have not as yet talked to Valley Metro, but we would propose that at the time, if you direct us to acquire the site, at the time we close, we would talk to them about acquiring the right-of-way at that time so they could pay for that portion of the site. 708 West Baseline is the final site in this investigation, and it too is an existing site built in 2006, I believe. It's 120,600 square feet in 4 buildings on 14.53 acres. So lots of buildings on the site. The site's generally in very good condition. We did look at this site in terms of, there's 4 different buildings. The 2 front buildings, which are actually Building 1 and Building 4, are frame buildings, and they really do not meet the requirements for a dispatch type center. So we went and took the building on the northeast corner of the site, which is referred to as Building 2, and looked at renovating that for the regional dispatch center. And again, you can see in the yellow the space we would put in for fire dispatch. The lighter yellow is the future police dispatch. And the blue, we came forward and we took one of the front buildings to that's pretty well built, and so it would serve as a shell at very reasonable cost to the city. The site is secured by a wall with the exception of a short section in front of the building we're proposing as the dispatch center. Some of the things we looked at on this site are the site itself has stormwater retention. The environmental was good. We had walls that enclosed the site. We have many of the things we're looking at in terms of NFPA setbacks and the requirements from NFPA. Some of the things we noted about the buildings, again, this building was designed as a warehouse function with some office space on the east side. We would retain the office space on the east side for use with the fire dispatch center and then convert a portion of the warehouse to fire dispatch. When we convert it to warehouse, the building itself has a nice metal frame and roof structure, so we have the Type 2 building. There's tilt-up walls, but when they build those types of buildings at the gutter, right now we know there's some leaking on the roof that we need to repair. That's included in the costs, and we looked at getting in to repair those. The north side of the building has doors on it. So when we looked at that, we knew we have to change out some of those doors for windows and get some natural light into the building. The roof, I mentioned the little site walls in front, as well as, again, HVAC and power, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and power supplies. Again, this building was designed for a warehouse, not for a dispatch center, so we need to put some new facilities in for those as well. We've included costs for those. And then I think if you go to the cost analysis slide, we've put all the summary costs on there that we've identified for the projects at this level of design. So with that, we would entertain any questions or any other comments you might have.
Thank you, Beth. Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Beth. I really appreciate all the work that your staff has put in analyzing the sites. Each site has unique issues and opportunities for development, particularly like the Mervyn site is a very interesting site for development along the light rail. But for discussion purposes, I'm going to make a motion to direct staff to acquire the southwest side at 708 West Baseline for the Mesa Regional Fire and Medical Dispatch Center and Emergency Operations Center and for other city uses. That's my motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson.
You know, I like all three sites, and I think all three sites would be advantageous and good for us. The only thing that I would ask is that we allow Chris Brady to maybe study this a little bit, master plan it out to see what we can fit there, who we can fit there, and see if we can bring those costs down a little bit. But outside of that, I'm comfortable moving forward.
Thank you. I don't think your comment is inconsistent with Mr. Kavanaugh's motion. I think we agree that this is a larger campus than is necessary, obviously, for the dispatch center, but that's frankly part of why this is a great deal. And so that it presents opportunities for us to take advantage of a really good deal. A bank-owned building that was constructed for about twice what we're anticipating paying for it, and provides us with a lot of opportunities to grow public safety and maybe possibly other city functions. So I agree 100% that, and I think Mr. Brady is in agreement that that's the right direction to go as well. Mr. Brady, maybe I shouldn't speak for you.
Thanks, Mayor. No, that's fine. Mayor and Council, so make sure clear, I think we definitely will go ahead and move forward with the purchase of this location, formerly Southwest Ambulance.
You have to vote first?
No, we haven't voted
No,
yet.
I'm trying to understand the direction.
Yes. If this
I
motion
thought that was the
passes.
question.
Yeah, that's the question. If this motion
I want to make
passes.
sure it's clear. So because this campus, I don't know a better word to put it, is much larger than we had originally anticipated, although we believe that there probably is opportunities for future either growth or existing uses, whether public safety or otherwise. However, making sure we understand the priority to move quickly with the dispatch center, the OC, as we've talked about. Now, what I'd like to have an opportunity is, I've seen the layout, is maybe we can figure out a way to get that $10 million squeezed down a little bit more than we can, still delivering the dispatch and the OC with really trying to be as consistent as possible with what we have today, recognizing once we buy this campus, we have all the expansion opportunities that we'll need in the future. So we don't need to build out to the expansion today. That will come. And I think that will help the council then I'm just trying to help us all kind of manage the dollars and keep that in budget. So, and I think that will be the exciting part, is to be able to come back. And the master planning may take just a little bit longer. That won't stop us from moving forward with the dispatch and the OC, but I think we want to do a good job of, when you get this much space, we want to make sure we use it efficiently. And I'm going to visit with the city attorney too, because initially we were talking about purchasing this with public safety bonds, but if we are in the future decided we wanted to put some non-public safety uses out there, we would be restricted because of the use of bonds. So we've got to figure that out a little bit too. We'll move forward with the purchase, but we may want to give ourselves just a little flexibility going forward if we decide that there could be something other than, even if it's 10% of it could be used for something else, we may want to think about that. So
Great.
I'll come back with some options on that.
And I appreciated the way Mr. Kavanaugh made his motion, because it was not restricted that it be used exclusively for public safety purposes. Is that right, Mr. Kavanaugh?
Right, Mayor, that was my intent, to provide you with that flexibility, because it is a large campus. I think it provides opportunity to perhaps relocate a number of public safety or fire functions that are in other locations that could be freed up to provide revenue back into the project. I think it provides some great opportunity for future PD uses, police department uses, but as well as other city agency uses that may be located elsewhere to bring together in a campus setting. I think the other opportunity will be to see if we have interest from other regional law enforcement agencies or state law enforcement agencies who may want to locate operations there and help contribute to the cost. I think my motion, the intent was to move ahead with the Fire Dispatch Communication Center, but to give you as much latitude as possible in planning out the site, and I think that's a great approach to take.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Finter.
So for Mr. Brady, what's the timeline that you would anticipate for the regional dispatch and the EOC to get it up and running? I know that the goal is for some of us that are leaving, try and get it done, at least by December of 16.
Yeah, no, I think I think that's our goal, is to get those component pieces completed. We won't let I think we've kind of, based on the cost analysis, we've kind of determined where those are going to be located generally, and we want to look at the scope of those projects, make sure that they're reasonable for what we need today, but then master planning everything outside of that too, beyond that. As Vice Mayor mentioned, there could be certainly other fire, medical uses, but there could be public safety, or Mesa Police Department, and maybe others, because it is a very, very large campus. And but we'll kind of dual track those. But I think I understand we want to keep the commitment of getting the dispatch and the OC open within the next 12 months.
Great. And then would you anticipate, as you kind of go through the vetting, that professional space management, bringing it back to the Public Safety Council or other?
Or the council, yeah, because it may involve, yes, I think both. I mean, because ultimately it will include, it may include other than just public safety too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Mayor, could I do it? Thank you, sir. Couple of Paul Harvey moments on this. I hope it's appropriate. For those, we have a lot of folks here from MCC. The story, the other side of the rest of the story, a couple of things is, as we looked at these 45 sites throughout the city, I think actually up to over 50. One of the ones that was my personal preference, and we worked really hard with our good mayor and vice mayor, was the Grace property that's right there at Southern and Alma School. And we tried our darndest to see how we could make something happen there and to clear off blight and to get that area looking great. And we just, at the end, we just didn't have a willing seller. So there might be some criticism out in the community that, hey, you should have probably located something on some of this blighted property. But the interesting part is what we're covering here is two properties that have been sitting for years vacant. And what I like about and why I seconded the motion, we have a bank-owned property that is worth, in my mind, quite a bit more. In talking to a professional about this, they think that would be a $24 million site if we were to try and build it today. And so it's the proposal for about $13 million. For almost 50 cents on the dollar, I would say this is a smart move by the city to acquire a bank-owned property and to get rid of a vacant property in the community and do something better. So I'm really excited about the possibilities. I'm looking forward to the city manager being able to work with our public safety folks and figure out a cost-effective way to get this achieved. And I think there's a lot of positives here. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Finter. We have a motion pending. Mr. Richards.
Comment. I really struggled with this whole project for quite a while. It's grown in scope and shrunk and grown, and yeah, it was hard to even get a defined scope of where we were headed at some point. You know, we set aside a certain amount of money in a bond. I understood that the budget for this project was about $15 million, and I know it's a good deal, you know, 50 cents on the dollar, and that's great. I still don't buy twice the amount of house that I need just because it's a good deal. So to me, it feels like we're spending too much on this. It exceeds what I thought the original budget was. I'm not going to support the motion. I think we should have gone with the site that stayed within the budget, which was the site there up on McDowell Road. So that would be my preferred site, but so I'm just not going to support the motion. Thanks.
Understood. Thank you. There's been a motion and a second made. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Passes 6-1. Also on the, I think it's, if you don't mind, before we leave this agenda item, the other item that was on here was the consideration of whether the city ought to pursue the purchase of the Mervyn's building. I think that's still a good question for us to consider. The Mervyn's building is going to be in the next round of light rail expansion. And I think if we had the opportunity in this first round of light rail expansion to secure a strategic corner of commercial property for less than $3 million at a light rail station, and we didn't do that, we would look back on that as a mistake. We are now struggling with trying to encourage development along the light rail station, and the city owns a lot of property downtown, but we don't own strategically located property in economic areas adjacent to the light rail. So I remain still interested in the Mervyn property and perhaps holding it and doing an RFP at a future strategic date to get the right type of development, flip it to the commercial development community, and hopefully get something that's going to be very compatible and that will be then a ripple effect for the other properties that around the Mervyn's building that are, I think we'd all agree, are in need of some encouragement. So I'm not making a motion at this time that we do that, but I wonder, staff, maybe Kim, this is a question for you. I'm not sure, but when do we need to put down hard money on Mervyn's? Do we still have some time prior to that? And I know we've made an offer on the property, but do we have some time between now and when we have to make a firm decision to consider something, another use for the Mervyn's property?
Mayor, we would need to know this before December 18th, or we would lose some dollars that we have already invested in escrow.
And obviously, Beth and the city has done a lot of due diligence on that property. Beth, I know you mentioned that there's still some environmental questions that a phase 2 would be necessary before, even if we had opted to do this for the dispatch center. There's still some unresolved questions relative to the environmental status of that building.
So, Mayor, would you like us to go back and what would the next phase do? Some soil testing?
We would have to do a phase 2 environmental, which would require about 30 days.
So would you like us to go back and ask for the 30 days to do the soil testing and then come back and have this conversation?
Speaking for myself, I would like to keep that opportunity open for study. And maybe once we do the phase 2, we'll determine that's not a good idea. But if the seller is willing to allow us to continue to do the due diligence related to that property, I, for one, would be interested in hearing back from staff as to some
Kim,
options.
will we get our money back after the 30? You're going to have to ask.
We're going to have to ask because we're under
How much are we? What's the
$100,000.
$100,000.
So $100,000. So, Mayor, we have till the 18th, so we'll have time to come back to council before then.
Right.
Yeah.
But we'll go ask.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not $100,000 interested.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to make sure how committed we were here. So
I got it.
Okay, we can ask, and then we'll report back before the 18th.
Okay. Thank you. Council, does that anybody else think it's worth exploring that option? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Thompson.
I wouldn't be in favor of that option.
Yeah.
As a city, I don't want to be a major landowner or land baron in our downtown area. So, you know, if it's something that we're buying to benefit the city, then I'm fine. But if we're buying it to turn around and try to flip it and control the P&Z on that, I would be opposed.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
I concur with Councilmember Thompson. I believe that the market should drive that particular site rather than the city be involved with that.
Okay. Well, we'll have a healthy debate over this if we decide that it's financially a viable thing to consider. So stay tuned for another exciting meeting of the Mesa City Council. Any other comments on this topic? Thank you very much. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item 3, acknowledge receipt of minutes of various boards and committees. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Next item is to hear reports on meetings and conferences attended. Council members, any report? Okay. Next item is scheduling of meetings and general information. Mr. Brady.
So, Mayor, I don't know if I can do this as well as you can. Do you want to tell us what's happening on Mary Main Street? Because I think you've got it down. You've got that cadence down. I mean, I could do it, but I just, in your presence, it just wouldn't feel right.
I would be happy to. I think all of us, the whole council, I think, is I share the enthusiasm of the council. This Friday at 5:45 or 6 o'clock?
5:45.
5:45, we're going to throw the switch on lighting the community Christmas tree at the corner of the northeast corner of McDowell and Main Street. McDonald, excuse me. Don't go to McDowell. McDonald and Main Street. There is no corner of McDonald. This is a large Christmas tree that was purchased through contributions solicited by the Chamber of Commerce. From there, we're going to quickly go to the ice skating rink that is located next to Mesa City Hall and inaugurate that portion of Mary Main Street. And then I don't know about the rest of you guys, but after that, I intend on going to the food truck court that is located adjacent to the park and ride at Mesa Drive and Main Street and enjoying a great meal. There was a soft opening of the food truck court, and the professionals have told me that we have the best food truck court in the state of Arizona, and I'm looking forward to eating there this Friday night. Mr. Luna.
The bigger question, are you going to be on ice skates? Are you going to ice skate? Are you going to inaugurate the skating rink with your ice skates?
I don't want to. I don't want to spoil this. So come and find out if I'm going to be on the ice skates. So, thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. The other great part, the reason our downtown is such a perfect location for Mary Main Street, and it's such a perfect location for the festivals that we hope will be there going forward, has been the addition of the light rail. And so we're happy to say that we've worked with Valley Metro, and for the month of December, every evening during the month of December, for the downtown area, that there's going to be no fare collection required to use the light rail. So in other words, someone could decide they want to go. I've heard that the Temple Lights attracts 1 million people during the month of December to our downtown. I think previously our strategy with regard to that has been to encourage those 1 million people to leave town as quickly as possible, and by all means to not spend any money while they were here. New strategy would be we have a park and ride right there next to Pioneer Park. We're going to encourage people to, if they choose to go to the Christmas lights there, that's great. How about you come across the street, buy some food at the food truck court, hop on the light rail, take a free ride down to City Hall, utilize the ice skating rink across the street at the MAC. We're going to have a lot of music programmed. All of the high school choirs and orchestras will come. And then just a short walk from there, the DMA, Downtown Mesa Association, will have the Christmas tree and a lot of vendors all along Main Street. So long story short, downtown Mesa will be the best place to celebrate the holidays this year. There's a lot of great locations, a lot of great Christmas lights displays, but I think even right out of the gate, first year, Mary Main Street's going to be, I'm going to say, the best place to celebrate the holidays. Mr. Kavanaugh.
And just to confirm from Valley Metro Rail's perspective, it'll be between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. every day. between the Mesa Drive station and the Country Club station that'll be fare-free. Outside that, it's fare
Yes.
collectible.
Yes, I didn't mean to overstate that. Yeah, so right in the heart of downtown Mesa, you'll be able to use the light rails without paying the fee for the month of December. Also, I want to thank, there's been some very generous corporate sponsors, Salt River Project, the Coyotes, Empire Machinery, some other great companies, Southwest. Sunt Construction, thank you. McCarthy Construction. There's been some generous contributions made. So this is throughout the month of December. I think folks are going to flock to downtown and have really a great time. So everyone within the sound of my voice, grab the children, wake up grandma, bring everybody to downtown Mesa for the month of December and have a great time.
I thought Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
We'll put her on skates anyway. We don't care. So thank you for the opportunity to make that
Yes,
commercial.
fair. I'm not sure if I'll do that again, but that was good. So the next study session, just remind council, the next study session will be December 1st, which is actually a Tuesday. So that'll be Tuesday, December 1st at 5:15. And then the second one will be a week later, December 8th, and that will be our last meeting of the year.
We have a study that week of the 1st, on the 3rd?
Yes, I think we do. I think we're scheduled to. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Council, if there's nothing else, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned and we will reconvene upstairs.